Hi, you're with Julian on the Brown Note. And why the argument about actors having to play who they are is one of the most upside down and wrong-headed current pieces of activism out there. The notion that only a trans person can play a trans role and so on, which has become there's so many vanguards of activism at the moment, the focus on words and pronouns, and it's so not what should be the focus of activism at all. It takes up so much space. It's all we read about is these furphies, these tiny little issues. But a big one is, should an actor have to be black or gay or disabled or to play a role? And that's become de rigueur nowadays to say that that's true. But this is upside down. So recently we had James Franco cast as Fidel Castro, which has, cast anyone. Look at Gal Gadot and the casting of Cleopatra. Why would you bother making films with anyone that isn't cis white at the moment? Because you're just going to get absolutely bombarded by these rent-seeking activists that just want to make a name for themselves. So he's been cast as... I'm deliberately not focusing on anything to do with James Franco being problematic, because that would detract from what this piece is solely about, which is my complete rejection of the notion you should have to be what you are playing. So he's being cast in the upcoming film Elena of Cuba, drawing fire from Latino actors and activists, particularly John Leguizamo. How is this still going on? How is Hollywood excluding us, but stealing our narratives as well? No more appropriation from Hollywood. There have been actually people such as Castro's daughter that have come out and celebrated James Franco, and others have pointed out that his heritage is actually not actually wildly dissimilar to Castro's. Before I get into why I'm so opposed to this garbage, one extra point to make is how hypocritical this argument is. I fully understand the notion of racism or sexism applying to people that are in power structures, not just semantics backwards and forwards. But every time somebody from any kind of minority plays a white role, it's celebrated. We've had black royalty in plays in Britain. And this is very interesting because we've got a guy playing a Cuban who's being lambasted, whereas we've got a Cuban playing Marilyn Monroe. And the only criticism she's getting is not looking enough like Marilyn Monroe. No one says she should have the role taken off of her because she doesn't have the right heritage. It's a one-way issue. But this is why this whole notion of a disabled or a trans or black or any ethnic minority should play a role. And it's this. Equality means a person who is of an ethnic minority, a different sexuality, a different gender to what they were born with, gets equal rights to play any role. Not that they are only to play those roles. That's not equality. We're not saying that a white cis male actor can't play a gay role, only a gay person can. That's not the equality that should be being striven for. What should be striven for is a trans actor can play any role, that it's open to them, that a disabled actor could play any role. Maybe they'd rewrite the character so it was disabled for them if they were the right actor for the role. Prejudice is about people who are talented not getting the same opportunity. It's not about shoehorning things in. And I understand about representation where studios just wouldn't cast black actors. So you'll have a portion of roles that go to an ethnic minority. That's not the argument here. The argument is if any character doesn't match up with an ethnic minority or a sexual or gender disparity, then they're going to get hammered. And that's not what equality is. Equality is giving those talented gay, ethnic minority, gender fluid actors opportunities to play any role. That's why this notion is so upside down. Now, there's an impact on this as well, which is very, very damaging. And I'll use the play that was in Australia, which is based on an extremely successful musical telling a story about a trans German man or woman. I don't know the story. It's called Heidwig and the Angry Inch, which was made into a cult film as well. Now, in the middle of COVID, and this is why this kind of thinking is so damaging. In the middle of COVID, when virtually no plays were being put on at all, here you've got a very prominent trans story being told. In the Australian theatre, it was cast, it was ready to go. It was part of a Sydney festival, and a few trans activists in Australia went nuts that Hugh Sheridan, the lead actor, who was bisexual, I think, wasn't trans, so they actually shut the play down. So they've taken what was going to be a play about telling a trans story and ended up with nothing. No play, no trans story, nothing. These activists are so damaging to their own cause. Everyone is gun shy of social media campaigns. There was no indication the trans community in Australia were on board with what they was doing. But a few people managed to stop a play that had been many, many months in pre-production, casting, adapting it to the Australian stage, rehearsals, lighting guys, the costume people. All of those people had put months into this play, and a few activists came along and they killed it in the middle of COVID's first year, when virtually nothing like this was happening. So the impact of this is producers start being gun shy about tackling any of these stories, because they think, well, I'm going to tell this story about someone who has a different ethnic or gender or sexuality or ability, disability-wise. I'm going to tell this story. We're going to make a Hollywood film about it. And things like this happen, and the producers go, this isn't a good bet, because even though I want to do the right thing here, I don't even know what traps lie ahead for me. I've got to go to finance this film, and I'm going to get an online campaign that is going to skewer it, and all of the people that have fronted millions of dollars to make it will lose their money, all their investment, because some people have been really noisy online. Then you get directors not wanting to be involved. Because why? Because people are only looking for, they're not celebrating you doing something good, they're always attacking you for not doing it enough. So you'll be 6 months into making a film, or it'll be coming out, and there will be very, very noisy small groups of people online attacking you for your casting, or for the way you've represented a certain race or sexuality. So they're less inclined to take these projects on. And then you get all the way back to the person writing the story, and they're going to change those characters into cis white characters because it's the only safe way for them. They know they'll get attacked if they get anything wrong, no matter how small. If they make the character they're writing about, say a trans character, if they get anything wrong, the online mob is waiting for them. So they don't write that character as a trans character anymore. They write that character as a cis white male, because that's safe ground. They know a director might want to pick it up, producers might want to produce it, financial backers might want to have a word with it. So you end up with less stories being told. And the final element of this is anti-artistic. The idea that you're an artist and you should be pigeonholed in such a manner. Can you imagine saying to someone that is, you can only play this kind of music, you can only write this kind of story because that's where you're from? No, art is sacrosanct. If you're a brilliant actor, you should be able to play any role within, reason. And there can be artistic reasons for Scarlett Johansson playing Martin Luther King, as we saw with the Bob Dylan film a few years ago, where they had a range of actors, including female actors, playing Bob Dylan. There are artistic reasons to do that. Maybe not in a biopic, but no one's saying that. No one's saying Scarlett Johansson should play Martin Luther King in a biopic. What they're saying is an actor that's talented enough and, crucially, bankable enough to get the thing made in the first place, as with Sheridan, a big actor, and he probably got a lot of the funding for that being made. We're saying if you've got the talent, you should be able to do anything. And the expression of prejudice here is saying that, you know, a gay actor is going to get cast in a gay role. That's not equality. A gay actor being able to play a straight role is equality. And that's the opposite of what's going on here.